All right, I'm back. This is for the third lesson of this first week of online remote learning. All right, so we have reviewed ratios and pi. We then reviewed the circumference of the circle, and the two formulas we had were circumference equals pi d, which is circumference equals pi times the diameter, and circumference equals 2 pi r, which is circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. So if we can find the circumference, the diameter, and the radius, and that is all the outer edge around, we're going to jump into finding the area of circles. So I have one kid leaving, one coming back, and a dog somewhere around here. I'm sure your household is just as crazy as my household. So as we get through this last video for this week, we will wing it and we'll be as happy as we can be. And I hope, again, all of your family as well as my family. Again, as you all know, I have a child that has a suppressed immune system, so Mrs. Jordan has pretty much self-quarantined herself since the Friday of spring break. So Mrs. Jordan is climbing the walls. She has been to the grocery store twice and went and picked up a child from college out in Seguin, and today drove to College Station to bring back more stuff for my son who has the suppressed immune system. So again, I pray everyone in your family is safe and sound, doing the best they can be for social distancing, and know that I miss each and every one of you. So let's get started with this, and then we can go on and you can do your other stuff during the week. All right, so we're exploring the area of circles. This example that they give us in the book, and again, you can go online to the book. You can print these pages out if you'd like. You can sketch them on notebook paper or computer paper, or if you have a spiral notebook at home or something to where you can keep all of your math notes, to maybe one day hopefully get back in the classroom and get back to being normal, because I know I want to be back in my classroom with each and every one of you. So let's get started. Exploring the area of circles. So if you were to take a compass and draw a circle, or you could go online and get a circle that has 8 sections. The goal here is to show you how they come up with the formula. This is your base, this is your height. If I'm looking at a parallelogram, which is really what I would be drawing here, and the area of a parallelogram is 1/2 base times height, base times height. So this is where they get the formula of area equals pi radius squared. So you are welcome to walk through the steps if you'd like. You can go online and watch the math on the spot with Professor Ed for finding the area of the circle. You can also, I'm going back here, go on and do some of the questions. I'm actually just going to jump right in to doing some examples and talk a little bit about this. Again, I will post these on Edmodo. So again, if you'd like to print them out, you may. Again, you can just draw the pictures. You can do it on notebook paper, or you can just pretty much follow along with Mrs. Jordan, and that is completely content with me, just as long as you completely understand how to find area of circles. All right, and as you know, Mrs. Jordan says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I know the formula is area equals pi r squared. That means area equals pi times the radius squared. We know that pi can be used with 3 1400ths, or you can use 22/7. I believe I will be using both examples possibly, depending if a number is cute and is divisible by 7. But I don't think there is on here. So let's just jump in. Again, a remodeling project calls for sanding a chair with a disc sander. The sanding disc used on the sander has a radius of, and again, you know Mrs. Jordan, she's got to get the colored pencils out. The radius is 4.5 or 4 5/10 inches. Area equals pi r squared. So I'm going to fill out area equals 3 1400ths times 4 5/10 squared. All right, so I'm not going to have trouble with you guys memorizing the formula. I'm not going to have trouble with you figuring out where I get concerned, and we talk about this all the time, is our beautiful multiplication. Because for some of us, you know, we make our silly errors, me included, every day in class. Well, not every day, but you know. So I'm going to start with 4 5/10 squared. That is 4 5/10 times 4 5/10. 5 times 5 is 25. Put my 5, carry my 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. Placeholder over 1. 4 times 5 is 20. Put my 0, carry my 2. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 is 18. 5, 2, and 2. I go back and I look 4 5/10 squared. I had 2 numbers behind the decimal, so I take it back in 2 places. I have area equals 3 1400ths times 20 2500ths. So not only now did I multiply a 2 by 2, I'm going to multiply a 4 by 3. So I'm going to try to come up here and not make it very ugly. 20 2500ths times 3 1400ths. So let's see, 4 times 5 is 20. Put my 0, carry my 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. Put my 0, carry my 1. And then I have 4 times 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. I need a placeholder and over 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. Placeholder, placeholder, over 1. I went over 2 places because I'm actually starting in the 3rd column for my multiplication. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 2 is 6. 0, 5. I think that's 8. That's 15. 2 plus 1 is 3. And I have a 6. I go back and I count 1, 2, 3, 4 places behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4. I get area equals 63 and 5,850 10,000ths. And if I want to, I can drop that 0. I have area equals 63 and 585 thousandths. I'm just going back to read to say if it says round it to the nearest. And this would be inches squared, because I'm finding the area. I'm finding the entire area of that circle. So that whole piece is a piece of sandpaper that I would be pressing down to use to get all that rough stuff off, the old paint or stain or whatever it is that you're using. All right, I want to talk about something that's called in terms of pi. In terms of pi means you're not totally solving for the area. You are getting it just to in terms of pi. I'm using the formula area equals pi radius squared. Area equals pi 4 5/10 squared. This is where we get in terms of pi. I take care of 4 5/10 squared, and I already did that, and I get 20 25/100 pi inches squared. There are sometimes questions that ask you to just solve what the radius or what the radius is squared, and then putting your pi symbol. So in terms of pi is something different than solving for the entire area. So I'm going to get this cute little other color out, and I'm going to say this one's purple, the other one was maroon, in terms of pi. And that is before you find the whole area. You're just finding part. So we've got finding the entire area, which is what I colored in maroon. And then we have in terms of pi, which is what I colored in purple. Maybe I need to get a different color so you can tell the difference. But this one's maroon, this one is purple. In terms of pi, the area I cover. So if I go on to the next one, and you know Mrs. Jordan always says, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So it says find the area of a circle with a radius of 48 millimeters. So I'm going to draw a circle, and it's not perfect, and I'm okay with that. And there's my radius, and I've got 48 millimeters. So I'm going to start out area equals pi radius squared. Area equals 3 14/100 times 48 squared. Area equals 3 14/100. I got to go find what 48 squared is. 48 times 48. 8 times 8 is 64. Put my 4, carry my 6. 8 times 4 is 32. Plus 6 is going to be 38. Placeholder over 1 because I'm jumping a column. 4 times 8 is 32. Put my 2, carry my 3. 16 plus 3 is 19. 4, 10, 13, and 2. So I get 2,304 because both 48 were whole numbers. There was nothing behind the decimal. So now I'm going to go and do some fancy multiplication to find the area of this circle that has a radius of 48 millimeters. So I'm going to say 2,304 times 3 14/100. There are two numbers behind the decimal. 4 times 4 is 16. Put my 6, carry my 1. 4 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 4 times 3 is 12. 8 plus 1 is 9. Placeholder over 1. I go to the second column. This is 1 times 4, 1 times 0, 1 times 3, and 1 times 2. Placeholder over 1 because I'm going to the third column. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. I know I went into the other area. So I've got 6, 5, 4, 13, 12, and 7. 2 places in, I get area equals 7,234 and 56 hundredths millimeters squared. And again, that is the area of this beautiful circle that I drew. Remember, I tell you, Mrs. Henshaw would say, Mrs. Jordan, you probably shouldn't be in art class because you can't draw. But it's quite all right. If I'm going to do in terms of pi, I would say area equals pi radius squared. Area equals pi times 48 squared. Area equals 7,234 and 56 hundredths pi millimeters squared. And again, I'll get out my purple colored pencil. Uh-oh. I don't know where my purple one went. Maybe this is it. I don't know. It's a different purple now, but it's still purple. This is in terms of pi. Oops. In terms of pi. This is before I found all of the area. So again, the total area that's covered, and in terms of pi before I found the actual area. All right, I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to start. It says find the area of a circle with a radius of 25 millimeters. So I'm going to draw the circle, 25 millimeters. And I'm going to start with area equals pi radius squared. Area equals 3 and 14 hundredths times 25 squared. All right, so I can't say that I know all of my perfect squares, but I am going to say that 25 squared, area equals 3 and 14 hundredths, is 625. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do my math. 625 times 3 and 14 hundredths. If you didn't know 25 squared, you could do your multiplication, 25 times 25. Some of you have probably memorized the trick of figuring out all your perfect squares, or some of you have just memorized all of your perfect squares. So I'm going to go through. 4 times 5 is 20. 8 plus 2 is 10. 24 plus 1 is 25. Placeholder over 1. Again, second column times 1. So I've got 5, 2, and 6. Placeholder. Placeholder over 1. I'm in the third column. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times 6 is 18. 0, 5, 12, 14, 15, 16, 9, and 1. This had 2 places, so bring it into. I get area equals, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully. Area equals 1,962.5 millimeters squared. And again, I dropped the 0. It holds no value at this point. And I've got my radius labeled, and I found the whole area of that circle. Again, in terms of pi, area equals pi radius squared. Area equals 3. I'm lying. Area equals pi 25 squared. Area equals 625 pi millimeters squared. In terms of pi is a whole lot easier of finding the area, but we're up for the challenge. We've had, well, almost 2 weeks off. Some of us have been trying to feverishly figure out all this technology. I think I'm doing pretty good. Some of you would be pretty impressed, I think. Maybe. I'm impressed. All right, so I'm working with a diameter. This is our first example with a diameter. So I'm going to draw my picture, draw the diameter, and it's 8.4 feet. And if I remember from circumference, it was radius plus radius equals diameter, or diameter divided by 2 equals a radius. So 8.4 0.4 divided by 2. My radius ends up being, radius equals 4 2/10 feet. So I will be using 4 2/10 feet. So area equals pi radius squared. Area equals 3 1400 times 4 2/10 squared. 4 2/10 times 4 2/10. 2 places behind the decimal. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. Let's see. 4, 16, 7, and 1. I get area equals 3 1400. Put my decimal back in 2 places. Times 17 6400. So 17 6400 times 3 1400. I will put my decimal back in 4 places after we do all the long math here. 4 times 4 is 16. 24 plus 1 is 25. 7 times 4 is 28 plus 2 is 30. 4 plus 3 is 7. Placeholder over 1. This is the easiest multiplication for the problem. It's 1 times everything. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. Placeholder over 1 because I'm going to the third column. 3 times 4 is 12. Put my 2, carry my 1. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 1 is 22. And 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. I have 6, 9, 8. 14 plus 9 I believe is 23. 5 and 5. 4 places back in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have area equals 55 and 3,896 10,000ths feet squared. All right, so I'm going to shade in my circle with my maroon, and I'm going to, broke the point, twist it up, fix it, and I have it labeled as my diameter, but I know right over here we did the math for the radius, and that was the information that I needed. So if I'm now doing in terms of pi, area equals pi radius squared. Area equals pi 4 2/10 squared. Area equals 17 6400 pi feet squared. And again, I'm going to trace that in purple. And again, it's in terms of pi. All right. I believe that's 4 examples that should help. 3 are with the radius. 1 is with the diameter. You can again watch Professor Ed's video on how to do in terms of pi and finding the area. I have uploaded the assignments that go along with area of circles. They're available Monday at 9 a.m. and you have all the way until Sunday night. Sunday night being the 29th of March at 6 p.m. to complete lessons 4.4, 9.2, and 9.3. Remember, I will be available on Zoom Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. I look forward to seeing smiling faces and seeing each other If you have questions, by all means, pop on to the Zoom. If you just want to see some other classmates that may be on there chatting with me just to get some normalcy, I believe Zoom holds a lot of people, so I look forward to seeing you all. Remember, we're trying to get some normalcy back for everyone. Technology is rough for me, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I know you all are doing an excellent job watching this and giggling and laughing. But the funniest part is Mrs. Jordan has a laptop, a Dell tablet, her document camera from the classroom, and I have my son's Xbox headphones on with a microphone. I have my glasses on, and I have my hair in a ponytail. So Bradley, this is Mrs. Smith, and I'm signing off for the last video for this week. Y'all have a good day.